This is Faster Masters Rowing Radio. I'm Rebecca Caro, and we're going to be talking today about the important topic of hydration for rowing. Hydration broadly means what you are drinking and how you get fluids into your body. Now, we all know that you probably should have a drink bottle when you're training, but it's not just about the training part of your life. It's also about the rest of your life when you're living and working and being and doing yourself. I've been taking some advice recently from a sports nutritionist about my own personal diet and nutrition and performance. And they have recommended a daily drink plan, which I'm going to share with you now. Here's a straightforward plan which everybody who's listening should be able to do. When you wake up in the morning, drink a glass of water. Start your day with a small glass of just straight water. Then every time you have a meal or a snack, have another glass of water. So a snack might be 11's morning tea. It might be, your afternoon lunch break as well. Just get into the habit of doing this. In addition, of course, there's hydration needed before, during and after training sessions. But thinking about your daily drink plan, the key thing, particularly for the non-sport related part, is to get into the habit. Now, it can take about 30 days to form a habit. And the recommendation is that we consume 2 litres of fluid a day. Now, that isn't just drinking glasses of water. Any hot drink you have, any protein shake, any smoothie, if you drink fluids in your meal, so like soup would be one of those can all contribute. You don't need to worry about sitting there with 2 huge bottles of water, which you've got to empty by the evening. For that habit-forming part of your hydration, try keeping a small record of what you drink and when. You could do it with something like cricket scores. So if you're a cricketer, you will know that you keep score of runs in 5s. Don't worry if you don't understand the game of cricket, but the cricket score method is quite nice because the notation used is 4 little vertical lines, and then the 5th line is a diagonal that goes through those 4. And you know that when you see that symbol of the 4 with the diagonal, that is 5. So that is a really good way of just checking that you're kind of on score for doing the right sort of thing during the day. Now, when you're exercising is a slightly different part of your hydration plan. On the days when you work out, your drinks need to have not just water, but carbohydrate and electrolytes in them. And the important thing here is that these are part of the recovery that your body needs to counteract the effort that you're expending in your exercise. Now, the benefits of sports drinks over just drinking plain water are reasonably straightforward. So carbohydrate is there because they help you maximize your energy levels so that you can maintain your intensity of training right through to the end of the session. We're all used to, getting tired towards the end of a workout, and these carbohydrates can help you. The important thing, of course, about your training is that, it works with adaptation. So we train in order to provoke an adaptation in our body, and we typically do that for about 4 weeks, for a month, and then the training plan changes, and that forces another adaptation. So these carbs and electrolytes will help with your energy levels. The electrolytes provide a slightly different function. They are typically called salts, and these are the sorts of minerals that you lose when you sweat. Now, they are, if you want to know what they are, go to the supermarket and have a look at the ingredients label on the back of a bottle of Gatorade or Powerade, and just take a photo of it or read it and see what's in there. The thing about drinking during exercise is that when you are exercising, how high the temperature, the air temperature is, affects you. When you're training in warmer weather, you tend to feel thirsty more obviously. And so, that provokes you to drink. Training in cooler temperatures, quite often I can train for an hour doing maybe a steady workout, 45 minutes, 60 minutes at rate 18 or 20, and I don't feel thirsty at all. And so I don't feel the need to drink. And this is where, as an athlete, you need to anticipate your needs, not wait until you are stimulated by a feeling of thirst. Now, when you buy a sports drink, they balance the amount of carbs and electrolytes in them because they're about getting your body to absorb them. And the reason that they're in liquid form is some of these are more easily absorbed in liquid than in solid form. And so the idea is to stay hydrated better for longer than you would, if you were just drinking water on its own. Now let's go on to caffeine. I am a coffee drinker. I think many of you know that I drink coffee regularly. I drink it virtually every day. I drink it in decaffeinated and caffeinated form. But caffeine itself is an interesting stimulant for an athlete and worthy of your consideration. Years ago, I was racing at Henley Masters Regatta, and the way the draw went, it's a 2-day regatta. I had one race on day one, and then I had several races on day two. So I knew that I was going to be feeling tired towards the end of the second day. I got through to lunchtime and I ate my lunch, quite a carb-based meal, and I felt a bit better, a bit more energetic after that. And I was sitting in the shade, taking the weight off my legs and ensuring that I was resting up. But I really knew that I needed more energy to perform well in the 2 finals that were due to follow. I had heard a story about a British track and field athlete, an Olympian called Dame Kelly Holmes. She was a 400 and 1500 meter runner, won 2 gold medals at the London Olympics. And I'd heard that she used a dilute mix of Red Bull, the caffeine drink, in her water bottle to help her hydrate while she was exercising. And on that day, I broke a cardinal rule that I tell a lot of people about, but I did not do that on this day. And the rule is, don't do something in competition that you haven't first practiced in training. But maybe my brain was a bit fried, but I remember going and buying a bottle of Red Bull and putting half of it into my water bottle and topping it up with water. So it was diluted. I knew this was a risk. And I started sipping it while I was resting there during the lunch break. An hour after that, I went out and did the first of my finals, and we nailed it against some quite strong opposition. After that, I refilled my water bottle again with the Red Bull water mix, and later went out to do the last race of the day, which was an 8s race. And I very much remember it. It was a grudge match, us against another club that, was nearby, and we raced them regularly. And I was sitting in the 3 seat. And I remember thinking how glad I was that I could literally just sit there and row, and that someone else would tell me what to do, and that I didn't need to think. Because one of the things that I noticed that when I'm tired and getting under high pressure in racing is my brain function definitely reduces. I get less skilled at thinking clearly, at reacting to what's happening around me. So I sat there and pretty much just pulled hard, and we did indeed win. I'm convinced that Red Bull made a significant difference to my ability to perform to my best in those last 2 races, despite being tired, despite it being a warm day, despite me having already done a couple of 1K races already on that day. So take a look at caffeine as a part of your own preparation and try it in training. Don't do what I did. Here's the advice that Gavin, my nutrition specialist, has given me about race day and caffeine. He has a recommendation that you use sports drink, not water at all, during race day or race days, and drink it throughout the day. But as far as caffeine goes, he has a couple of suggestions. One is caffeinated drinks of the type that I've already described. And the other are tablets, which are called things like No Dose, where we are, Pro Plus as a brand name in the UK, but they're basically a caffeine in tablet form. And he recommends having some form of caffeine every 2 to 3 hours while you are racing. You could save them until after your first race, so that you do your first race just under sort of normal conditions of nutrition and hydration. Or you could use them for each race. Either have a half can of caffeinated drink about 30 to 40 minutes before that first race, and then the same interval before your second race, and again for the third if you have multiple races. Or try these caffeine tablets. Try half of one. They're quite strong, and do them just for keeping that stimulant topped up in your system on race day. Now, you may not want to spend a lot of money on buying sports drinks, powders, or liquids. So here's the recipe which I was given by a friend who said she got it from Nancy Clark's Sport Nutrition Guidebook, which is a very popular book. If you want to know where to find it, there's a page on our website called Best Rowing Books, and you'll find it. It's one of the blog posts that is listed there. Now, the idea for this drink is, she says, it matches the nutritional profile of commercial sports drinks, and it has between 50 and 70 calories for every 8 ounces of fluid and about 110 milligrams of sodium. There's the salt that we were talking about earlier. Now, the basic recipe is flavored with orange juice and lemon juice, but you can switch those out. You can make it without the lemon juice, but the flavor, it will be a bit weaker. Basically, that's an enhancer of the flavor. And you could try different juices like cranberry or lemonade instead of orange. The basic recipe is this: 1/4 cup of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 cup of hot water, 1/4 cup of orange juice, not concentrate, but dilute orange juice, so natural orange juice, not squash, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and 3.5 cups of cold water. And here's how you make it. In a jug, dissolve the sugar and the salt with the hot water, add the remaining juice and then the cold water as well, and chill it. Stir it again when you take it out of the refrigerator before you use it. So there you go. There's a homemade sports drink recipe that you can make reasonably cheaply yourself. And I hope that this has helped some people think a little bit more about their hydration. Here's Dan, who's watching live, say, sometimes when I get a headache, I have the feeling that it could be because I'm dehydrated. I'm not sure where that thought comes from, but I do like that the body tells us. Good point, Dan. And definitely it works for me that hydration is definitely something that you can't always rely on your body to tell you accurately, because by the time you feel thirsty, you're already starting to become dehydrated. Hence this plan of having regular water through the day in your normal working and living day, which will help you to keep your hydration topped up before that feeling of thirst comes on. Till next time.
We are part of the RowingChat podcast network. Please tell your fellow rowers about the show. If you've learned just one helpful thing from today's episode, please consider supporting the show for as little as $1 per month by visiting fastermastersrowing.com/podcast.